In this video, I'm gonna show you the secret for unlocking your SI joint, which is a common culprit for people that have chronic low back pain. And the secret is not what you're gonna see all over YouTube. It's not core stability exercises, it's not stretching, it's something about the SI joint itself. The real key is to unlock the movement within the SI joint itself. But bear with me for a minute because there are some important keys and nuance to this. Now, first of all, it's very important to understand that the SI joint itself does not move that much. We're not entirely sure, based off of the research, conclusively how much movement is at this joint. It's around somewhere between 2 to maybe 5 up to 8 degrees, depending on the individual. But there is movement in this area and it does matter. And there's a lot of people that will tell you that the movement at the SI joint does not matter and you shouldn't worry about it. And I would just encourage you to approach this video with an open mind and try these exercises and see what actually happens. The problem I see with people that have SI joint pain is that it's stuck in a certain position. Oftentimes, the SI joint is stuck in a position like this, where this bone, which is the sacrum, is tipped back, and these bones are kind of open like a flower. This is what's referred to as counternutation of the sacrum with external rotation of these pelvic bones right here. Now, I am very much exaggerating how much movement I'm using at the SI joint compared to how much is actually occurring in real life, just for visual demonstration purposes. Now, can you imagine that muscles on the backside of the pelvis, like the glutes and the piriformis, which attach on the sacrum and run down onto the femur, can be in a shortened and tight position if this is all squeezed and pulled back like this? This is going to limit the ability of the SI joint and the pelvic bones to achieve the opposite shape, which is this bone moving back relative to these pelvic bones moving in like this. This is the opposite action of this. This is counternutation and external rotation. This is nutation and internal rotation. This is the thing that I find a lot of people with SI joint pain are missing. The reason why this action of nutation and internal rotation of the innominate bones is so important is because this is a closed packed position of the pelvis. This is a very stable position of the pelvis. And we need to access this shape every time we produce force into the ground, and also to a slight extent when we're walking or running as well. If you're stuck in the opposite shape like this, then you're going to struggle to produce force. Also, when we move into nutation and internal rotation, that allows for these bones to slide into internal rotation and allows your lower leg to move into internal rotation and the foot to move into a flatter arch position. The opposite would occur with this. We're going to have these bones slide out into external rotation when these bones externally rotate, and then the lower leg is going to externally rotate too. So if you can't achieve this shape, chances are high, and I've seen a high correlation between people that can't achieve internal rotation here and people that can't achieve internal rotation down the chain either. So the question is how do we actually know that we're unable to achieve this shape change? Well, usually you're going to be limited in one of two, if not both tests. The first test is a straight leg raise. A straight leg raise is often thought of as a hamstring flexibility test, but actually what it is after you reach about 45 degrees of a straight leg raise, you have to start to internally rotate more and more. So that requires you to open up that backside of the pelvis as you bring that leg up, and that leg moves into internal rotation beyond about 45 degrees. So if you have less than about a 50-degree straight leg raise, 45-ish, then you probably have an inability to get length through those tissues in the backside of the pelvis and leg. And the other thing you're probably limited in is just internal rotation of the femur or leg bone itself. You can measure this just by being in a seated position with your legs hanging off, and then just swing out your shin, making sure nothing is moving besides your shin and ankle. Everything else is staying very stable. If you feel like your low back is going to move or your hips are going to roll, you've gone too far. Generally, we're looking for about 40 degrees of internal rotation. If you have less than that, then that is an indication you are unable to achieve this shape change at your pelvis of internal rotation and nutation. So now you may be wondering, well, what can I do to actually achieve a better shape change of the pelvis and have these bones move into internal rotation more effectively. Do I stretch it or do I activate certain muscles? And the answer is no. You actually need to place strategic pressure on certain places in the pelvis. Let me show you what I mean. If I were to lay on my side, imagine my hand is the ground right here, and I were to place specific intentional pressure right here at the top of this pelvis bone right here, that would compress that pelvis into the ground, and that would help create the shape change that we're looking for. So we're going to be doing exercises that help put pressure on this crest right here, because that's going to push it in like that. If you do this properly, then I would expect your straight leg raise and also potentially the internal rotation of your leg itself to improve noticeably. We're sliding this clip into the video because I want to tell you guys something. The SI joint isn't necessarily only going to have issues because of the SI joint itself. It's a total body problem, and you have to take into consideration how other areas of the body can be affecting the SI joint. For example, let's say you had tight upper back muscles, and that would be flattening out your thoracic spine or upper back curve like that. Well, what that's going to do is probably push your low back into more compression too, which is going to put more pressure on the SI joint. So it's important to appreciate that it's not just the SI joint which is the issue. It's usually a symptom actually of other areas. So if you want to learn how to truly find the root cause of these issues and be able to get a long-term fix, that's what my biomechanics course is for. And the reason I'm mentioning it is because depending on when you're watching this, there's likely about 72, if not 48 hours or less to get early bird pricing on this new upgraded version of my course. It's called the Biomechanics Course 2.0 for a reason, and it is getting really good reviews.
I've taken over 150 courses in the past 5 years, and Connor's biomechanics course is by far the best.
You have to take this course. Connor goes through the biomechanical underpinnings of why people get twisted, why people get compressed, and why people have poor asymmetrical movement as they navigate the world around them. There is something here if you are a coach for anybody, from a general population of any age all the way to a pro athlete. Connor does a fantastic job of laying this stuff out. Thank you, Connor. This was the most incredible course that I've ever taken, and I hope so many more coaches get the benefit of your hard work. Thanks, pal.
What Connor Harris is teaching is revolutionizing the way I approach my clients.
Reach out to somebody who can help you. I didn't know what I was doing. I took a few courses. Thank you so much, Connor. A little shout out to you, because now I think differently, I train differently, and I'm more helpful
compared to the traditional PT methods I used before. So if you are a clinician or a personal coach who wants to fix the root causes of your clients, I highly recommend you taking the course.
In my case, I was dealing with a hip impingement for 6 months, and after just 1 week of corrective exercises, I'm already starting to experience some dramatic improvements.
This is the absolute lowest price you're going to be able to get the course at. So if you are a personal trainer, physical therapist, massage therapist, athletic trainer, or you just want to learn how to fix your own body at the highest level, this is the course for you. So check it out down below in the description. For this, it's essential to understand where we're going to place the pressure strategically. So remember, we want to place the pressure along the crest of this top pelvis bone to push it into this shape. So what we're going to do is start with that pressure on the foam roller right here, dead center. And what we're going to be doing is opening up and rolling onto the outside of the bone and then rolling forward and closing it off. So we always need to keep pressure along this crest. If you ever feel like your bone has come off, you've gone too far. So let's set up for it. I recommend starting in this position with your leg bent up a little bit. The other one's just kind of hanging out. And then you want to roll down very slowly until you get to the point where you hit the top middle of that bone. You'll feel it. You'll know it when you're there because it feels like pressure going into a bone and rather tissue. And then you want to bring this leg up to around 90 degrees, exactly like this. So I have pressure on the middle top of that bone. I have my knee bent at a 90-degree angle, and now I'm going to bend the knee a little bit without the leg actually moving, just like this. I'm going to stack the other foot directly on top, just like this. This will give me a pivot point to open and close into. So I've got pressure there. I'm always going to keep this leg flat, and it's not as much rotation as a lot of people think. So I'm gonna maintain this position. I'm gonna roll forward onto the front part of that bone, getting this knee slightly ahead of that knee. And as soon as I feel like I'm about to roll off the bone, don't actually roll off the bone, but stay there. And then inhale through your nose and open up as one unit together. Notice how this is opening up with my chest, going to the back part of that bone, feeling that pressure there, and then going forward really slowly. Exactly at the tempo and cadence that I'm going at is generally ideal. Right there. And then we're gonna roll back again and just hang out in this position as we go through these slow rotations. I'd recommend doing about 20 per side, or at least 20 on the side. That's painful. And if you can't feel like you can find that bone as you roll, either minimize the amount of rotation you're going through, or just find that point and just hang out on it for a second. You can just stack your knees together, just breathe in this position. What I'd recommend doing is just feeling yourself compress into this as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, making sure your knees are bent at about a 90-degree angle relative to your trunk. For the next one, grab a rolled up towel or a couple of hand towels about this thick. This is the thickest I would go. Maybe a little bit less than that could be more helpful depending on the person. You also need a pillow folded in half, and you're gonna need a foam roller in between your legs. So again, find the very middle crest of that top bone and just kind of play around until you feel like you have pressure going into that. For me, that's probably right about there. Yep. And now I'm gonna take my pillow and fold it in half so that way I am nice and neutral within my neck. Now I'm gonna take the foam roller and place it in between my knees if I'm gonna do the dynamic variation. But if you don't wanna do the dynamic variation or start off in an easy position, you could just stack your legs right here and you can just breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth as you exhale, feeling yourself compress into that and relax totally into those towels. As you inhale through your nose, just kind of like let more tension go out of your body. Now, the other thing you could do is you can have someone press on you from top down and compress you into those towels more. So Ben is applying maybe like a 4 out of 10 pressure down. Don't use too much because this could be painful if you have a locked up SI joint that does hurt. Start really light, encourage them to start light, and then ramp it up to what you're comfortable with. You want to reach that range where they're applying as much pressure as they can without you feeling any discomfort or tension whatsoever. It's straight vertical pressure down on the top pelvis bone. And if you want to make it dynamic, again, take that foam roller, put it in between your thighs, and stack yourself so that way you have around a 90-degree bend at your knees and your hips, and your feet are together. Allow your neck to just totally relax. Exhale and go forward, and you're gonna roll slightly further on those towel rolls, and then inhale and shift back. You're going to feel like you're shifting on and off the roll a little bit, but your pelvis, again, just like the last exercise, that top pelvis bone is always in contact to some extent with these towels. And I would highly encourage you not to make this a lot of movement, because if you do, you're just gonna move through your low back, and that's a total waste of time. So make sure that you're just going maybe an inch or two ahead of the bottom knee, rolling back so that way that top knee is just an inch or two behind that bottom knee. Always feeling yourself compress into the towel rolls, keeping your movement through your hips and not your back. If you're gonna do the static variation where you're just relaxing like this, I'd recommend to sit here for about 90 to 120 seconds, 1.5 to 2 minutes. And if you're going to do the dynamic version like this, where you're rolling, I'd recommend about 20 slow rolls per side, forward and back being one roll. I'd recommend doing both of these exercises in the order presented to you for about 2 sets, at least once a day, for the amount of reps that I talk about when I'm actually demoing them. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.